You're listening to the Muddling Through podcast. And we're on.
Okay.
Thanks for being here, Tucker.
No problem, Gordon.
How you been?
Good. I've been doing very well. For the most part.
Yeah?
Just working.
What have you been up to?
Oh, I work for a rather large defense contractor these days.
Indeed. What do you do there? Can you talk about it?
Quality assurance.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Making sure all the parts are the right size and such.
Something like that, yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
All right. So, for those that aren't familiar, Tucker and I used to work together for a hot minute during the Christmas season at GameStop.
Yes, we did.
Back in, I think it was like 2011 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nick was our boss.
Yeah, Nick was our boss. How'd you end up working there?
At GameStop.
Yeah.
Friends with Nick.
Oh, fair enough.
That's 100% what it was. So I was working at a jewelry store before that, and Nick offered me a job at GameStop, and I thought, well, I went to elementary school with Nick, why not? Turns out GameStop sucks. If you buy your games at GameStop, don't.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, I hear it's not doing very well these days.
No.
Nope,
GameStop not doing well.
Yeah, which, I mean, I enjoyed more or less my time there, but I think with any retail gig, it's like it's the people you work with rather than the company you work for.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, structurally, that company just kind of sucks. I don't really know how else to put it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, now I've talked to a couple people who work there now, and it's a little different than it used to be. Like, apparently, you actually get incentives to sell those stupid cards nowadays, like money.
Oh.
You know, how they should have been doing it the entire time instead of we're going to fire you if you don't sell enough of these. Turns out when you offer people rewards instead of punishment to do things, it motivates them a lot more.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, and they pay them a lot more now, too, apparently. So there's that. Yep. That's about the size of it with GameStop. I don't know. I don't buy stuff from there anymore, so...
I haven't been at a GameStop in years, I think.
I'll walk in and look around, and that's about all I do at a GameStop is walk in and look around. By the way, if you want to buy new video games, Best Buy offers a way better membership deal than GameStop does. I'm just trying to drive them out of business, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no. There's a certain, vindictive joy I get anytime it comes up and someone's like, yeah, GameStop's not doing very well. I'm like, well, you know, when you price gauge your customers, it's like, well, you don't feel too bad.
The word you are looking for is schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is the word of the day.
Yeah, no.
Deriving pleasure from other people's misery.
I try not to indulge too much in that particular
I don't know,
one.
It depends on who it is or what entity it is.
Yeah.
Like GameStop, I'll indulge. That's just thick and rich and delicious right there. Hearing that company is tanking. I mean, I feel bad for the people who work there. You know, obviously they're going to have to find other jobs if GameStop goes under. But just given the past history of that company and how it's historically treated its employees, if I hear GameStop stock drops a point, I go, I want to put some maple syrup on that. Take a nice big bite. That is delicious. Yeah.
Excellent.
Like this Mr. Brown's coffee, shameless plug.
What's the deal with that?
It's canned coffee and it tastes really good. It's
macadamia
macadamia nut flavor. I love this stuff.
I didn't realize they made canned coffee.
They do. Huge in the South Pacific and Asia.
Interesting.
So you have to go to like Asian markets to find it stateside, but it's everywhere in Hawaii, and that's where I first encountered it. Was when I was in Honolulu about 10 years ago, and
what were you doing
sorry,
there?
12 years ago now. I was in the Navy. It was a long time ago. I don't know. It was 12 years ago. I was in the Navy at some point in my life. So I paid for college, kind of, not really.
Is that why you went into the Navy?
No, I had nothing to do in limited options. That's why I went into the Navy. Yep, nothing to do in limited options.
Did you enjoy it?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
I
mean, it was the military. You enjoy it as much as you can, I guess.
Sure.
You take orders for a living. It's best way to put that.
Did you ever go anywhere, like besides the States?
Oh, yeah.
Where did you end up going?
Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, Hawaii a couple of times. Just all over the South Pacific. It was nice. Yeah.
Cool.
I liked it quite a bit.
Any fun stories from those places?
Not if this is a PG podcast.
It's not.
Most of them involve hookers.
Ah.
There's lots of prostitutes over there. That's the best way to put that.
Fair enough, man. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but is it weird to you, the whole "thank you for your service" thing?
Oh, it's incredibly awkward. There's
Yeah.
really no particular response to it. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like you're welcome. I
mean,
guess.
it's good to know that people appreciate it, I guess, but it's like, I'm cool. I mean,
I guess.
some Marines over there that actually went to Iraq, you might want to go thank them. I don't know. And even then, I mean, the general party line is with most people I talk to who were also in the military kind of say the same thing. It's like, you don't really know how to respond to it. It's like, I mean, it's not equivalent, but it'd be like if you made a deposit at the bank and you just like shook the guy's hand and went, "Oh, thank you for your service."
It's like
No problem. I'm just putting money in. I'm just putting your money in your checking account. You know, and it's. I mean, it's kind of the way I look at it when people say "thank you for your service." I go like, "Cool."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I appreciate it. You know, thank you for the Montgomery GI Bill, I suppose. It was a job, you know, it was a paycheck. So
Sure.
yeah, it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward. I appreciate that people appreciate it, but people out there have done far more than I have ever done in service of the country. So you know,
it's more of a
thanks.
contextual thing rather than
Yeah,
like a
they deserve the
blanket.
thanks a whole lot more. Exactly. Yeah, I would say so. Sure.
Is that? I mean, how much did you end up interacting with other branches of the military?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
I mean, you guys are kind of.
Well, I mean, every branch of the military is going to have other branches of the military on that base in some capacity.
Okay.
I've noticed. My first deployment, we even had a couple of Air Force guys on the ship who were what are called surgical techs, which is Air Force equivalent of a medic, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's sure wind up interacting with other branches of the service a lot. In the Navy, particularly the Marine Corps, though. So.
Marine Corps and the SEAL teams are technically Navy, right?
Not even technically Navy. They are in the Navy.
Okay,
Yeah, they're the
gotcha,
Special Operations branch of the Navy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been listening to a podcast by a fellow named Jocko Willink.
Yes, yeah, I know who Jocko is. Yep.
I don't know. It's been interesting to get kind of a different perspective. Like, I'm not used to getting a lot of the military side of things. Fairly sheltered growing up.
Yeah, you told me a few times. Your parents were like missionaries or something?
For a good number of years. Yeah, and homeschooled, basically all through high school, and retail was basically the kind of the first time I had friends who
weren't homeschooled.
Yeah, like some, but then the majority of them were. It's an interesting gig. I'll be honest, but it's been a while, man. I'm kind of transitioning out of it, I guess.
Okay.
There
you go. Yeah, I understand the sheltered upbringing thing. Trust me, I do. Oh yeah, I had helicopter parents.
Yeah.
I had helicopter parents big time.
Did you grow up in the area?
Yeah, I grew up in Rochester.
Okay.
I am a Spalding graduate. So my skill sets include knife fighting and cooking crack cocaine. Not really the second one, or the first one, honestly. That was more of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. Spalding's a shitty school, or at least it used to be.
Yeah.
Don't know how else to follow that one up. If you're a Spalding grad, hey, class 2005, yeah, there you go. Yeah, man, it's, I don't know, life's been a ride. I was a professional DJ for 3 years, so that was cool. Worked in a strip club. That was also really cool. Gordon, if you want to become not sheltered, I would recommend getting that job.
Okay.
That's a fucking eye opener right there.
I can imagine. I mean, I probably can't imagine, like, properly, but, like, you know, I get the idea.
Have you ever even been to one?
I have not. No.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Still a good Christian boy.
Yeah, not really.
No,
but, like,
really?
it's one of those kind of, you know, still got one foot in it, and I'm not, I haven't made the proper leap yet. So, I don't know. It's...
Are you teetering on atheism? Is that what's going on?
Not atheism. I wouldn't call it that exactly. It never felt like right for me. Like I always felt like I was trying.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I know exactly the feeling. I was the same way when I was a kid. It was weird because like I went to this super, I almost want to call it culty, like Christian school.
Okay.
For elementary school, from like preschool to the 6th grade, and it was just like they're always talking about accepting God and accepting Jesus, and you know everything to do with that. And it feels so good when you finally accept Jesus into your heart, and blah blah blah. And I'm going like, and so, and they're telling you like if you're not a Christian, you're bad, you're going to be punished and go to hell. So I'm, 10-year-old me, which, what a bullshit thing to tell a 10-year-old, for starters.
Yeah.
Is that he is going to be tormented eternally if he can't truly accept Christ into your heart, which they give you no context for that to begin with anyway.
Yeah, it comes across as pretty arbitrary.
Exactly. And I prayed on it, and I'm like, waiting for the sky to open up and this shining light to come down and make me feel like I've finally accepted Jesus, and now I feel happy and full. And I would sit there in tears some night because I did not believe this stuff at all. Mm-hmm. And I finally realized probably right around 15 or 16 that I was doing it just for show because it was what was expected of me.
Sure.
And I looked back on it and realized like I've never believed this stuff. Like to put it in context, I was that annoying kid that never believed in Santa Claus because I thought it wasn't logical. Mm-hmm. So I was just ruining my friends' lives when I was a kid.
Sure.
Like, Santa Claus isn't real. Yes, he is. He brought me a bike. No, your dad brought you a bike. I didn't have a lot of friends.
Somewhat lack of a filter.
Yeah, exactly. I was a very precocious child. Because I think I figured out the tooth fairy wasn't real the first time I lost a tooth. My mom screwed that one up by tripping over something when she was trying to put the money under my pillow. So I pretended not to wake up so that she wouldn't know that I knew that she was the tooth fairy. And I think I was like 25, and I told her, I was like, Mom, the entire time you were the tooth fairy, I knew you were the tooth fairy. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah. She goes, how did you find out? And I said, you tripped over your own foot when you were trying to put the money under my pillow. And I woke up but pretended to be asleep so you wouldn't know.
Sheltering your parents from the knowledge that you were not a tooth fairy believer.
Yup.
That's excellent.
That was like, and the weird thing is like Santa Claus, nope. Easter Bunny, nope. The Tooth Fairy, for some reason, though, like I kind of, sort of did believe in the Tooth Fairy for a second until my mom's klutziness screwed it up.
So if I put my teeth under my pillow, I get money back because the Tooth Fairy needs... Like, that seems reasonable.
For some reason, it seemed logical to me. I don't know why. I was like, maybe it's just some weird lady who needs teeth. I don't know what it... Like, what does she need teeth for?
It's one of the few... Like, out of those three, it's the only one that's transactional, it seems. Like, Santa Claus is all about good behavior, and the Easter Bunny just seems to distribute indiscriminately.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. And yeah, teeth for money. That is transactional, of course. I could see, like, maybe the one thing I could see is that going horribly wrong. Like, some little sociopath kid finds out that teeth equate money and just starts, chasing kids around the playground with a rock or something like that.
Just a ball peen hammer.
Yeah, I could see.
Come here.
What happened, Bill? You hit me with a hammer. Why? I need money.
Gotta pay for my alcohol addiction.
I'm 6. There was this...
got a family to feed.
Long time ago. Do you remember Third Rock from the Sun?
I don't know if I haven't seen it, but I'm aware.
So, like, the premise of the show is... I don't know if you haven't seen it. The premise of the show is there are these aliens with no body. Like, they're literally just heads, and they possess 4 dead, like a family that all recently died in some accident and moved back into their house.
Okay.
And there's one episode where one of the characters, his name's Harry, one of the characters is dating a girl, finds out, she has to go get a tooth pulled at the dentist, or get 4 teeth pulled at the dentist. And while they're at the dentist, and he's got no concept of this, there's another kid, like a little kid who's there, who gets a tooth taken out, and his mom tells him the tooth fairy's going to leave him a 20. So later that night, when he's at his girlfriend's house after she's gotten the 4 teeth pulled, he puts $80 under her pillow, and she finds it, because he thinks he's giving her money for the teeth, and she thinks he's trying to pay her for sex. And that was probably my favorite episode of that show. But anyway, that was just a funny little anecdote about that. But yeah, I don't know why. I think that's probably what it was. Is the Tooth Fairy seemed like the one thing that was, you're right, transactional. So I was like, this makes sense. I give them something, they give me money. Okay.
Like, I understand that. That makes sense to me.
Teaching kids about capitalism, one step at a time. And there's that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, which is basically a children's book teaching toddlers to hate homeless people. There's that too. You never read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie?
I've seen it. I worked at Barnes & Noble for a hot minute, but I can't say I've ever read it.
You did work at Barnes & Noble, I remember.
Yeah.
You worked there with Chelsea. No, maybe you didn't. Never mind. I had a friend, Chelsea, who worked at Barnes & Noble. You weren't there at the same time, though.
Yeah.
Either way. So If You Give a Mouse a Cookie is a children's book about... It's like this little beggar mouse that comes to somebody's house and he asks for a cookie. So the lady gives him a cookie, and then he comes back and asks for a glass of milk. So she gives him a glass of milk, and the way the book goes is, if you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask for a glass of milk. If you give him a glass of milk, blah, 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 and it just so on and so forth. And then he starts bringing all his friends over, and she's basically got a hippie flop house of these anthropomorphic animals living in her kitchen. And, which, one, I understand the logic, because fuck hippies, but at the same time, it's basic, teaches you to hate homeless people.
That's really bizarre.
Or panhandlers in general, I guess. But.
That's fair. You probably shouldn't have a lot of... I
don't know. I try to be generous with the needy, but at the same time, I just had a homeless guy get really aggressive with me, this past Saturday. I had started my Uber shift, and I was smoking a cigarette outside my car, and it's like this group of 30-something homeless people hanging out under a tree next to a Circle K.
Sure.
Like hippies, I guess.
As
I don't
you
know.
do.
Or I thought they were... As you do, exactly. I thought they were hippies, at least, till he gets up and he's like, hey, can I get a cigarette? And I went, nope. And I go to walk away, and he's like, really? That's pretty fucked up, man. You're just going to ignore me? Yup. And then he started trying to talk shit to me.
Okay.
I'm ignoring the guy, and he's just like, what was that? And I just went... I just give him an awkward look. And he's like, I thought you were talking shit. What, you got your girl in the car with you? And at that point, I was just like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, really? This is, by the way, if you live in Portland, Maine, there's a group of insanely aggressive homeless people that hangs out near the Circle K and tries to fight people for cigarettes. So if you're gassing up at one of the Circle Ks in Portland, Maine, just watch out for a guy with a big scraggly beard and stinky-ass dreadlocks. He's going to try and fight you for your Newports.
Be warned.
Exactly. Impede us to quit smoking right there, though, by the way. You won't get hassled by hippies for cigarettes, or... I don't even want to call them hippies. Hippies are nice.
Yeah.
Still don't like them, but they're
vagrants,
nice.
Maybe?
Vagrants, I guess, yeah.
That's a bit archaic.
Yeah, I suppose that would be an archaic term.
Alright, we're going to have to pause this for a second. Yeah,
we're back. We live? Alright.
We are. But... Actually, I do want to talk about this for a second because I never played the Castlevania games growing up. But I got the Requiem pack,
nice,
the PS4,
very
and
cool.
Started playing Symphony of the Night because the guy I follow. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, one of them he's super into Castlevania.
You're doing one.
Funny how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried it and I got to the part where you're fighting a shadow version of yourself.
Yeah, that's actually pretty close to the beginning of the game.
Yeah, no, and got my ass beat.
Really, you couldn't beat Shadow Alucard. He's one of the easiest bosses in the game. You couldn't beat Shadow Alucard. Literally, all you need is the holy water. That's it.
I have no idea where the holy water is.
That's all he does is just jump in throwing knives, man. You find the holy water, just break a couple of candles, eventually you find the holy water. I mean, it's a Bible that sort of acts like a shield. That's another good one, too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Shadow Alucard's super easy boss, man.
I just couldn't do it.
I wouldn't say the bosses probably, in Symphony of the Night, they don't really start to get... I don't even want to say the bosses themselves are really all that difficult, honestly. You just wind up running into some super annoying enemies that, like, they're worth a lot of XP, and then you just wind up sprinting away because they're too hard to kill, and you don't want to wind up back at the last save point, which could have been, 47 screens ago.
Right, exactly.
Like the puppet swords. Jesus Christ, that's the most annoying enemy in the game, is the puppet sword. Yeah, Symphony of the Night. Awesome game, horrible voice acting. Horrible voice acting. That was like... It's one of the... If you listen to like 90s voice acting in video games, like 90s into the mid-2000s, you start... You realize that most of the voice actors back then were just out-of-work regular actors who really weren't into the script they were doing.
Yeah, or at, like bare minimum, it's like... temp help that they were just working on.
Exactly.
The game. It's like, all right, we need someone to, say a couple lines.
Konami was just like, who works cheap? Who doesn't have a SAG card? Let's get that guy. We won't have to pay health insurance for him.
I heard a story about, like, the recordings for one of the Mega Man games, where, like, it's literally, like, flubbed recordings, like, he's stumbling over his lines as they're recording it, and they just, like, keep it in.
That's awesome. Well, that is really awesome. I think one of the things was they probably didn't have a huge budget for translating games back then either. They're just like, we already spent all this on the ads and marketing. Where can we scrimp? Oh, the voice acting. Let's do that.
Excellent.
Editing? Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, God. What was another awesome one? Well, it wasn't voice acting, but... the translations back in the 90s too, like this was a really popular meme video for a wicked long time. This was like in the days before 4chan or YouTube or anything like that, but it was a video called "All Your Base Are Belong to Us."
Okay,
have you seen that one?
I haven't, but
oh man, okay, it's all right.
Man, we're going on a journey of discovery today.
Yeah, definitely, because I gotta let's see, where do we? I don't know if YouTube will pull this. Hang on. I think we're not showing video, so it should be okay.
Yeah.
But you got to see this. And it's this horribly... like, a fun game. It's called Zero Wing for the Sega Genesis. Fun scrolling shooter. Like a space shooter, sort of like a Gradius or, something similar to that. Earth Defense Force or Super Nintendo, pretty similar to that.
Okay.
But it was horribly translated. Like, horribly, horribly translated. And about... 13 years later, some guy must have stumbled upon it either in an old game collection or he had an emulator or something, noticed how bad the translation was. So he made a flash video / techno song out of it. And the video is just called "All Your Base Are Belong to Us," and it's hilarious. I gotta pull this up on YouTube and show it to you. It's awesome. Here it is. All right. Yep. There we go. Ads.
Someone set up us the bomb. We get signal.
It's so bad.
Main screen turn on.
It's you. How are you, gentlemen? All your days are belong to us. You are on the way to destruction. What you say? You have no chance.
15 years later, this still makes me laugh my ass off. It only gets better. That was my reaction the first time I saw it too. Was just disbelief and then laughter.
It's what is going on?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful in its simplicity, and it's just so ridiculous. I don't really know how else to describe that video, but yeah. So that's how game translations were back then. And even into the PlayStation era, there were Final Fantasy Tactics, another great example. There were some terrible translation errors in that one.
Yeah.
Nothing specific comes to mind, but it was like character names and stuff like that. And
I
actually...
think they retranslated it for Tactics Ogre, right?
no, Tactics Ogre is a completely different
Oh, is it?
series. No, they retranslated it for a game called War of the Lions, which was a remake
what it was.
of, which I have on my Android, thank you, Squaresoft. Which is actually, that game is why every time I buy a new phone, I get a Samsung Note series because it has the stylus.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes playing that game so much easier. I love Final Fantasy Tactics that much. Please make a sequel.
Yes, please. It would make so much money. So, have you seen Felseal Arbiter's Mark?
No.
It's basically like a spiritual successor to, or it's like a love letter to Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, it's a game in the same style with, like, you know, the same, like, class wheel and exploring the map in the same way, and the battles all happen in the same kind of...
Somebody get their hands on the source code or something? That's crazy.
No, I mean, it looks different. It's like, it's obviously supposed to be like Tactics, but it's, you know, completely different engine. I think it only came out, like, a few months back. But the same person who was talking about Castlevania is a huge fan of Final Fantasy Tactics, and he, you know, absolutely loves this game.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Oh, nothing. I thought my phone was recording. No, it's just Spreaker telling me I need to post my podcast tonight. All right.
What's your podcast about?
My podcast is called Shit Show, and it's a multi-subject podcast. So I usually pick I pick a subject of the day, typically. I'll do one once a week. So obviously, so I have time to research it. I haven't had any guests yet. I do another one called the Rideshare Cast, where I'm an Uber driver on nights and weekends, and what I will do is interview my drunken fares. And boy, people love to tell secrets to strangers.
Yeah, I mean, they feel pretty safe doing that.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's a weird thing. Like, why would you... You don't know who I am. Why are you telling me your drunken secrets there, Liquor Fairy? What are you doing? Or the couple fights are the best, though. Those are my favorite ones. And they will just fight about nothing. And it's usually like one half of the couple is drunk and wants to argue about something, and the other half of the other half is just going, I'm so sorry right now. I'm so sorry. Please, just I'm so sorry. And I've seen that happen so many times in the back of my car. It's just like... one person raging, the other one just trying to get them to shut up and apologizing to me. Great for tips, by the way.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
It guilts them into tipping you well.
Guilt is an excellent motivator in that regard.
Is a wonderful motivator. I love that. But yeah, so Shit Show, I'm recording the first episode tonight, and it's just going to be chaos, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
Because... it's going to be listening to my insane ramblings on a microphone for an hour. I don't know how many people are going to be able to stand that, but we shall see.
We shall certainly see.
I don't know. Hopefully we can hit that magic 3,000 listener mark and get some sponsors. Red Bull. On it?
Gonna try for that. Get a little Joe Rogan action in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the gold standard right there.
Yeah.
Is Joe Rogan.
Man.
Millions of listeners. He actually makes money off of it.
Yeah.
Fun time.
Which it's really wild because, like, I was listening to one of his podcasts, and he was like, I did this bit at one point, like he was talking about President Bush, and he's like, I did this bit about you know, We Can Go Dumber, and I'm like, wait a second, I've heard that before. I remember Tucker telling Nick that bit while we were working at GameStop.
I think we can go dumber.
like I literally remember word for word hearing you like retell that bit. I'm like, it is literally 10, like what year is it? It was literally like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's the exact, like, it just pops up, like, randomly.
I think we can go dumber.
And at the time, I had no idea who Joe Rogan was.
Oh,
you know, obviously.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. I don't need to do any advertising for Joe Rogan, but the Joe Rogan Experience is a phenomenal podcast. But he was the Fear Factor guy, too. Fear Factor was an excellent show.
He was also, I haven't seen it, but he was in, what was it, News Radio?
Yes, he was in News Radio. He basically played himself, but as a handyman.
Right.
That was essentially, it was just...
I guess the idea was that, like, all the characters were, or a number of the characters were based on, like, kind of exaggerated versions of themselves.
Yep, that was essentially it, because he was just he was a handyman who was a conspiracy nut. That was his role. So I was like, yep, that's him.
That's pretty much it.
You got a bathroom, by the way?
Oh yeah, downstairs. It's next to the kitchen.
My bad teeth are floating. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Jeez.
So what was that about meat being delicious?
Oh, mead being delicious.
Oh,
yeah, mead, like the beverage. They're downstairs sharing a fine bottle of strawberry rhubarb mead.
Indeed. My roommate just got a job at a meadery, so that would be why.
Apparently the landlord works there, too.
Roommate is the landlord.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting concept right there. My landlord lives in Los Angeles, so I don't...
That's okay.
I mean, man, I don't know. He's a good landlord, especially for someone who lives that far away. He's an excellent landlord. Yeah. So, I can't really fault the guy. He's got a good job out there. I wish I had his job.
What does he do?
He is a personal assistant to somebody who is very, very famous.
Oh,
I will not name names, but yeah,
that is all right.
He's he might have done some music for some movies that you may have seen. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say I'll keep an eye out for your landlord's name in the credits or something.
Oh yeah, no. My landlord. He's the personal assistant. It's Michael Bay.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. Not movies you might have seen, not movies you want to throw in the trash.
I don't know. There have been some entertaining ones along the way.
Entertaining's relative. I was like every other guy when Transformers came out, because I mean, you knew it was gonna suck because it was a Michael Bay movie, but at the same time you're just like, oh, it's Transformers. It was like literally every guy in the theater when the first Transformers movie came out was the same. It was just pissed off girlfriend and a bunch of guys talking to each other about how excited they were that they were finally going to see an awesome Transformers movie. It wasn't really that awesome, but it was just like girls sitting there like, ugh, why are we here? We're totally watching The Notebook when we get home or something like that. I don't know. And then just a bunch of guys acting like 10-year-olds going like, I want to see Optimus Prime. No, I want to see Megatron. No, I want to see Starscream. Like that. And that was I think I was 20 when that movie came out. Yeah, 2007. Yeah, I was 20. And like that's literally all it was just like 20 to middle-aged dudes acting like children, like eating candy, just getting excited. We're all talking to each other fucking throughout the whole movie, and then everyone became friends when the movie got out. We're just like, oh my god, that's so awesome! Sideswipe, he comes in, and his outside, and then pissed off girls coming out of the theater too.
Can't believe we sat through 2 hours.
What I can't believe is that I actually paid to see Spider-Man 3 that came out the same year. I was disappointed in that movie, and I also want my money back. Still, Showcase Cinemas in San Diego, California.
Sony Movie Studios.
Somehow they're not going to give me my money back. They tried to steal my email information, man. The great Sony hack of 2011. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, the late 2000s to early 2010s. It's definitely an interesting time. That was my early 20s. That was like the best time of my life right there. Probably, as it should be. How old are you now, Gord?
26.
26, okay, so you still got some time to be irresponsible and have a ton of fun. There you go. You should do that.
As unlikely as that sounds.
Well, irresponsibility is relative. Everything in moderation, including moderation, my friend. Go out, do some cocaine. Allegedly. Don't do cocaine. Don't do cocaine, Gordon.
If I can avoid it, I guess I will.
You can definitely avoid it. All you got to do is say, nah, I really don't want any.
That's fair.
Anybody worth their salt who does cocaine is going to go, okay, more for me. That's... They're not going to push you, trust me.
Good, I didn't want to share anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much the attitude.
I was just being polite.
And then they'll just go like that and just disappear off into the ether to go try and get laid or something. I don't know.
Now, you were doing stand-up comedy for a bit, right?
Yeah. Still probably going to take a stab at it again for the third time in my life.
What is your sort of process there? Just like bullshit on stage for
there's writing involved, definitely. I'll probably spend a good week trying to write 5 minutes. And then I'll keep trying to tweak that 5 minutes over and over again. It never really seems to work out the right way, but, I was getting somewhere about 6 months ago, so.
What changed?
Well, at the risk of potentially losing my job, I doubt my boss will hear this podcast, so,
I mean, if you'd rather not, that's...
No, I mean, it's just hard to explain, so... My day job leaves me very drained at the end of the day. I'll put it that way. Not really physically, but mentally to the point where I am physically drained and I can't really do anything. And it's just finding that motivation is really tough when you feel that way. So
especially in a creative endeavor.
Exactly. Especially in a creative endeavor. So if you're trying to do anything involving writing, art, anything like that, some people use it as an outlet. For me, it actually takes energy. Because it's something I like. I love being an entertainer. I do, but at the same time, it's just you kind of have to have a certain amount of energy you're willing to give away. And I mean, if you just got nothing left at the end of the day, it's tough.
Yeah, and I feel like stand-up comedy is one of those where it's not one that you can really. It seems like the one where you have to put the most effort into it.
Yeah, because it can be brutal.
Yeah. Yep. You're having to appeal to a number of people that...
No, for sure.
Something as subjective as humor. Like, you can write a great book, and everyone can be like, I read it, and it was really well written. It wasn't necessarily for me, but, I can still tell that it was quality work. But if you tell a joke that somebody doesn't like...
Exactly.
And
that's something you kind of have to learn how to, it's weird. I kind of tend to have I'm a very thin-skinned person off stage. On stage, not so much. I'm very thick-skinned and sharp-tongued.
Yeah. You can.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
it's
weird. It's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde thing for me because it's weird. I'm pretty low key, and I can be a fairly awkward guy. I'm almost painfully shy sometimes, depending. But I've got 2 hours of extrovert in me, so I have to kind of dole that out very carefully throughout the day. But you put a microphone in front of me, and I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
Having a microphone in front of me kind of makes me feel like Superman. I don't really know why. I'm not really sure how. I don't know what does it, but me on a microphone is a completely different Tucker. I'm confident. I can, I just feel like I'm in my element and I can do whatever the hell I want when I've got a microphone in my hand. So or a set of turntables in front of me, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't really explain it. It just makes me feel good. That's the only way to describe it.
It's sort of a license to be somebody else, in a way?
Yeah, or a license to be who I actually am.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I prefer to look at it like that.
No, that's pretty valid.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a license to be who I really wish I could be in my everyday life. That's what it is. I mean, so in essence, it's sort of a character, I guess, but at the same time, not so much.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of my personality in everything I do, in which, at the risk of sounding trite and, what's the word I'm looking for here? What's a good one for it? Trite and... Had it, lost it, damn. But, yeah. Oh, pretentious. There we go. That's the one I was looking for.
Perfect. I love some pretension.
Yeah, exactly. At the risk of sounding pretentious, it makes me, I am who I am. There's an aspect of me in all of my art. Yeah, no shit. It's your art.
If there wasn't you in the art, It wouldn't be your art.
Exactly. It would just be, it'd be something you puked on a page and then colored in with crayons. It's yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I guess that's the best way to put it, is I can put more of me into something than I can into myself in my day-to-day life, I guess. It's really weird.
Have you tried reverse engineering that?
No. Well, I don't want to say no. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Okay.
I've got too much of a temper. I can't do that. Besides the the me I portray on the me I portray on stage is kind of a dick, and given the fact that I work in a nice professional office setting, I don't think that would work out too well.
No, that I can't see that going well.
Tried that a few times, and it upset a lot of people.
Can't be upsetting your coworkers now.
No, they're going to get upset anyway. It happens. You're cooped up in an office with people for long enough. Eventually, somebody gets upset at somebody over something arbitrary. It just happens.
Just office
Can't
life.
fault them for it. It just kind of happens. Never really did picture myself in an office job. Wow, people are just blowing me up today. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Who is that?
They heard you're doing a podcast.
Oh. Never mind us that. Somebody I went on a date with once who is kind of mean to me now.
That's an interesting dynamic.
Don't ghost people. It's not nice. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I did that. You shouldn't do that. It's bad. Don't ghost people.
Not ideal.
No. Yeah. Either way, it's where the hell were we? You're gonna have to edit this part out. This is terrible right here. This is for breaking up the flow of the show. Good lord.
Talking about being yourself on stage.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool because not only you can be yourself, you could be whatever the hell you want to be too. There's that. Like I could just come up with a character. Why not? Work on it for a couple of weeks and then try it out. See how people like it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like you don't even have to be like a specific character. You can be any character you want.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like even in the same show, you can be swapping in and out and bringing them back and the whole deal.
That is spot on. Yeah, spot on. I think I really don't know how else to describe that. I do some impersonations, but I'm not that great at them anymore because I'm out of practice. I mean, God, I used to love doing I had a phenomenal Clinton when I was younger. I could do Bill Clinton really well. I thought I could do Donald Trump well for a little bit until I saw Alec Baldwin do Donald Trump, and then I'm just like, man, he's got that down. I can't do that.
He kind of
put
his mark on that.
Exactly, yeah. He's got a whole staff of writers, so I mean, there's that. So that's a little unfair, but.
He doesn't have to come up with the words. He just has to...
Exactly, yeah. He just kind of has to, I mean, I'm sure he's got some input, but he just kind of gets to do his thing up there, and he's also been an actor for God knows how long now, so, I can't really compare myself to...
It would be unrealistic to expect to be in the same place, I guess.
But, yeah, I think that's kind of the most fun aspect of it, honestly, is getting to be on a microphone. Is you be wherever the hell you want. Like, it's great. You can just be a chameleon, depending on the situation. Mm-hmm. And, when you've got a microphone and you're behind 2 inches of smoked glass, you can just roast the fuck out of people, and they can't do anything about it. It's great. They could throw something at you, but it's not going to do much, It's just going to bounce off the glass. I mean,
Why are you behind glass?
Oh, so at most, or at least the strip club I worked at, the sound booth... isn't an open sound booth. You're behind a pane of 2-inch thick smoked glass. Okay. So, I mean, people can really only see in if you've got the lights on in there, and I kept them off most of the time because computer screens are bright. Yeah. I mean, my eyes are fucked now, but that's beside the point. Yep. So, if you're roasting a dude who's acting like an idiot, trying to grab a dancer or something like that, or throw him in. You just get on the microphone and say humiliating shit about them. Like, one of my favorite ones was I think it was a Tuesday night in the middle of February, which is just going to be incredibly slow and terrible and fucking, whatever. But we had this dude who, I don't know maybe he was a heroin addict, I have no clue, but then again, if he's a heroin addict, where's he getting money to come into a strip club and throw it at the dancers? He comes in and he sits down by the stage, and he's just... the biggest moron on planet Earth, way too into himself, thought he was way too cool for school. Is really the only good way to put that. And it is, 1 a.m. in the middle of February, and he's wearing a fedora and mirrored sunglasses in a strip club. One, it's dark in there, you dumbass. He's not blind. Yeah. I can tell he's not blind. He's walking around just drunk. He's walking around way too well to be blind. And... he's just sitting there like this, like he thinks he's just splayed out, like, yeah, I'm way too cool to be in here, but I'm in here anyway. Oh, I don't need to see naked. I don't need to look at naked women. I'm going to, but I don't need to. You know, it's just a hipstery, douchey asshole. So I finally, I tell my manager, I'm like, watch this, and I start playing Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart, and I'll wear my sunglasses at night. And Gordon doing the dance right there. So he hears the song come on, and instead of going like, oh shit, I'm a douchebag, he starts going like this. Yeah, I do wear my sunglasses at night. Like bobbing his head like he's even cooler now because that song is playing. And I really, that was the most frustrating time I've ever tried to roast somebody, because this guy was just so out of his fucking head that he didn't get it.
Yep.
And had no idea what was going on. All he was just
zero self-awareness.
I do wear my sunglasses at night. Yeah. Oh, zero self-awareness, plenty of self-absorption. That's the only way to put that. So that was one of the most frustrating situations, because I was like, how the fuck do I get this guy? What do I had no idea until I finally realized he had been sitting in there for 3-4 hours and spent like $2. And that's where I got him, was right in the wallet.
Yeah. So
I just started roasting him for being a broke asshole, and he was trying to get a free show in a strip club. That one did that did the ticket right there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And usually when it's a slow night like that, you want to keep as many customers in there as possible. Except for that guy. Like when a guy comes in and he looks like he's wearing the same clothes he's been wearing for 3 days and he doesn't exactly smell pleasant, you want the dude out of there. We got him out of there.
So
it's an interesting place to work, I'll put it that way. But yeah.
I mean, tell me more.
Well, you just got to experience it, man. That's
fair.
God, that sounded douchey right there. Just got to experience it, man. No, I mean it is really something you just have to experience, I guess. I mean, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Not to knock my fellow adult nightclub DJs. Sorry, guys. Every club is going to be different, But around here, where there are only two, I think you've seen one, you've seen them all. So. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's not something you want to make a habit of doing just because, it is pretty much, it's literally throwing money away.
Yeah.
Trust me when I tell you this, you are likely not putting anyone through college. Out of all of the exotic dancers I've met in my entire life, I have met 4 out of the many hundreds that were actually going to college.
Yeah, no. It's one of those things where it's like you'd really like to believe that they're either like doing it because they enjoy it.
Sure, of course you would.
Or they're doing it like just because it's lucrative.
And that's what they have to, and that's what they project. And there are many who really do enjoy doing it. I know several who enjoy doing it. Like they go to pole dancing competitions. There's something called the Strip Olympics. And these women are fucking athletes. Yeah. Like you have to have some insane core and upper body strength to be able to do some of those dance moves. But on the other side of that coin, there are also plenty of them that absolutely hate it, and they're in a situation where that's the best economic option they have at that time. And you got to understand. You also have to understand it's all an act. It's a fantasy.
Right.
These women are there to provide a fantasy. They're not there to go home with you. They're not there to be your girlfriend. They, in most circumstances, don't even really want to get to know you that well, but they know you got Jacksons in your wallet and they want to get their hands on them. And speaking as a former DJ, I could tell you that you want them to get their hands on them too, because when you're a strip club DJ, your income is tips from the dancers.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how you make your money.
So, is it like a formal thing, or is it more they just kind of?
It's a gratuity, so no, it's
Okay.
not formal. No, it's at their discretion.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, like if you're a DJ, you really have to develop a relationship with the dancers.
Good, excellent relationship with the dancers. Yeah, so and you're always going to have your problem dancers who you just can't make them happy no matter what you do. But you're also going to have the ones that go above and beyond to try and be as much of a team player as possible. And one of those will make up for 20 average dancers. You know, like I had a couple of dancers who would tip me $100+ a night usually. You know, and a few more that would tip me 40 to 60 plus a night every night. And I had one girl that would tip me 10% of whatever the hell she made every time, which is a super old school thing. Way back in the day, that's how it worked. Was dancers were required to tip a DJ 10%, or at least in some clubs, dancers were required to tip a DJ 10% of what they made, which at that point is not a tip, it's a fee. But that's how it used to work. So it was actually a job where you would make a fuckload of money. You know, this was late 80s into the early 2000s, long before my time. I know some guys who have been in the business that long, and they love to tell war stories about the glory days. Those days have long gone by, and entertainer attitudes have changed too, because there's a lot of girls who just think, fuck the DJ, you know, that guy, all he does is push play, and he's a dick, you know, he never plays the songs I want, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's because you're an asshole to him, that might be it, sweetheart. I'm going to go out on a limb there, but if you weren't a piece of shit to the DJ, he might play you the music you want and throw you a bone every once in a while. I'll take it and yelled at by a manager if a girl treats me right. You want some shitty music? If you're a girl who tips me extremely well on the regular, you're going to get all of the shitty music, shitty SoundCloud rapper music that you love all night long, because I'm going to want to take care of you. If you treat me like crap, you're dancing Nickelback. That's just how that works.
So what goes into like what can you do for a dancer in terms of like your like being the DJ? Like what goes into that? One,
be somebody she is comfortable with. So don't be your stereotypical, like they'll always show and this is, I mean, stereotypes exist for a reason, but this is super inaccurate. And they show it every time in movies. As the strip club DJ is always some weird guy who kind of sounds like this. All right, Miranda, coming to the main stage next for a 3-song set. Make sure you get those dollar bills out, fellas. Want to see some greenery on that scenery? Tip your bartenders, tip your waitresses, and give it up for Miranda. And it's always some, like, dipshit in a tank top.
Yep.
You know, who's like groping a girl with one hand and running the soundboard with the other, and then like when a girl walks by, he tries to hassle her for tips or something like that. It is not like that at all. First off, if I go into a strip club and I hear a DJ who sounds like a stereotypical strip club DJ, I'm going to walk the fuck out, because I don't want to listen to that dickhead all night.
No.
At all.
Kind of pulls you out of it.
Like, yeah, well, my voice on the microphone when I was a strip club DJ was, it was just my normal speaking voice with a different cadence. Like, I do my Tuesday night announcement like this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 2 for Tuesdays. That's right. Buy a beer, you still got to pay for your second beer. This is Maine. We don't give alcohol away, ladies and gentlemen. However, 2 songs, same artist, all night long, because we couldn't think of anything better. On the other hand, we do have plenty of lovely ladies for you, ready to rock it on our main stage. You want to get on up there, get your dollar bills out, and put your dicks away, you dirty animals. We're going to get this started. Let's make it happen. 2 for Tuesdays right here in Portland, Maine. We're having a great time. I can't say the name of the place I used to work at because, well, copyright infringement. But if you've ever been there between 2015 and 2018, you've heard my voice on the microphone.
Fair enough.
So you probably know who I am. You know where I used to work. But, yeah. I mean, like, that's... Back before I went off on my tangent about asshole strip club DJs, building a relationship with the girls, boy, there's a lot of dynamics that go into that. One is, definitely being what they feel is a safe presence, somebody they can talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, because 80% of your job is being a therapist.
Okay.
Like, I've heard plenty of my boyfriend is a cokehead asshole stories, you know, or my boyfriend spends all my money on heroin, or my boyfriend doesn't have a job. I've heard plenty of stories like that. And the important thing to remember is you just got to sit there and listen and go, honey, I'm really sorry that sucks. If you ever need to talk, I am here to listen. Another thing building relationship with the girls is always making sure you have got the hottest music at all times.
Okay.
And you've got it ready to go. You got to stay one step ahead of everybody. That's one of the biggest things right there, because obviously girls are going to want, this whatever's on the Billboard Top 40 that week, and it changes rapidly. Can't always play it because it's not always... Like, I remember for a while, the number one song on the Billboard charts was that Suicide Hotline song. So that was when you kind of had to... I played it by accident one night, too. I was like, this one's number one. And it was a lazy night, and I didn't give a fuck, so I loaded it up. And some girl, like one of the dancers, comes running back to the... She goes, this song is about a suicide hotline. And I just went, oh, shit. And I looked at the title of the song, and I'm like, oh, fuck, it is that song. Damn it. Yeah, there were. I had a couple of nights like that where it was just like slow ass night, and I didn't really give a shit. There weren't a ton of customers in there, so I just loaded something up on autoplay and dropped a bomb and got my ass chewed for it. That happens.
Yeah.
But overall, just make sure you're always polite and professional with your dancers. Don't stick your dick in the cash register is another way of putting that.
Sure.
In other words, and everybody's going to say that if they've worked at a strip club. Don't stick your dick in the cash register. Don't do blah, blah, blah. Don't do this. It's, you get fired for it. Everybody who's ever worked in a strip club ever has fucked at least 2 strippers. Everybody. Including the other strippers. Mm-hmm. Everybody. I don't care what they say. I don't care. Like, it happens. Mm-hmm. You put men and women in an environment together as coworkers where... The men have never gotten this much attention from women in their lives, and the women are all naked and drunk. Mm-hmm. And the guys are all drunk. Yep. Because, everybody fucking... And I would recommend against it, but everybody fucking drinks on the job at strip clubs, too. Or at least that's how it used to be. It's not so much anymore. Like, liquor laws have gotten much, much tighter. Okay. And they will cut your dick off if you do that. Like, that's... A strip club losing its liquor license is one of the worst things that can happen, so they're super tight about it. But back in the day, they were a little looser about it, and people would get fucked up a lot on shift. Shout out to bartenders everywhere.
You're a bouncer for a bit, too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was a bouncer for a bit. Hot minute in college. Mm-hmm. Sure was.
Weren't you one? I thought you were one recently.
Well, college was only... 2015, 4 years ago. That's pretty recent. Yeah, that was the last time I was a bouncer. It was about 4 years ago.
I feel like our last conversation, you were talking about working at the Thirsty Moose.
Yeah, but that was 2014. Was it? I was working at the Thirsty Moose, man. Yeah,
was it
a long ass time ago? Yeah. Yeah, I was a bouncer at the Thirsty Moose Tap House in Dover for a little bit. I was a bouncer at Carr's Irish Pub in Dover for a little bit. And before I became a DJ, I was a bouncer at the strip club for a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. Of course, at a strip club, it is not called a bouncer. It is called Courtesy Patrol.
Ah.
It's supposed to be nice to the guests, not bounce them. I have to get going in about 9 minutes here.
All right. Yeah. We can wrap things up. You want to plug your podcast?
Yeah. Listen to The Shit Show on either Stitcher or Spreaker, wherever the hell else you listen to podcasts. Every Friday night, new episodes, so tune in. It's going to be a good time. Actually, it's going to be a fucking dumpster fire, but who doesn't like watching those?
And then you have your...
the Rideshare Cast. That is a little more random, so I usually record that 2-3 times a week. If you guys want to tune into that, it's a good time. A lot less of me talking, a lot more randoms talking, and it's fucking fun. It really is. So check out the Rideshare Cast as well.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, hey, no problem, Gordon. Good time.
All right, have a good night, everybody.